Welcome to How's Your ePresence? We are so glad you are here today. This is a lovely day in the beginning of December. Can you believe it's already December? I cannot believe this. Here we are at the back end of 2021, and the weather is getting cold here in Atlanta, and we're still fighting COVID. This will be interesting. So the Omicron virus is coming out of the south of South Africa now. And we're all trying to get used to this thing being around. My opinion is, not that you asked for it, is I just think we're going to have to figure out how to live with this thing. So whatever that looks like, it's certainly going to change our lives forever. We are glad you are here today. And the reason that we're thrilled you're here is because this is our SPIRE special. This is where we join partnerships with SPIRE, and SPIRE is a networking group here in Atlanta, and they are a group of professionals bettering themselves, their business, and their communities. And SPIRE is an acronym, stands for service, proximity, intention, reciprocity, and excellence. I have done a lot of work with their founder, one of their founders, Bill Courtwright. There's also Brigitte Hoffler, Bronkar Lee, Lori Thomas Ross, and Ralph Amos are the leaders of that organization. We are thrilled to partner with all of them. If you're in Atlanta tonight at 5:30, you can join us we meet down in Buckhead, and you're welcome to come down. It's free. How about that? It is free. You just got to show up, get a little something from the bar if you'd like, and then you can network with some wonderful people. On today's show, we will meet tonight's SPIRE speaker. So you'll want to stay tuned to this and then come tonight and you can meet that speaker live and in person. My name is Mark Galvin. I am your host with How's Your ePresence. We run a show independent from SPIRE. We typically are recording about a couple of shows a week, and we also drop all of them as a podcast. Recently, we had some great guests on. Just this week, we had a guest on talking about how to transition from blogging to email marketing with Liz Wilcox, and she was a character. You should go back and check out that show. We've also had a great guest on last week, which was Daniel Alfon. He sits in Israel, and he is a LinkedIn expert. So we learned a lot about LinkedIn. So we're always developing a great library of content. Our mission is to help you do something a little better on either your social media or your digital marketing. So glad you're here. Go check out those shows. I know you're going to find something there that can help you achieve or do something a little better today that you haven't done in the past. Our shows always run live. We're on either Tuesdays or Thursdays, typically. Tuesdays at 9 and on Thursdays at 3. When you join us, throw us a question. Or when you're watching us live, just punch into the comments where you're watching us from. If you're joining us from someplace overseas, we always like to hear that. Or if you have a question, punch that in there in the comments. We will ask our guests that question. We'll just put your question right on the screen. Today, what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about entrepreneurship, how to resource up if you're an entrepreneur, raising some money for your company, and we'll get into doing business internationally, as a matter of fact. So our guest today is an international business expert. We are always asking for people to subscribe to our show. So if you would hit that subscribe button there on the bottom of your screen, and here's why it's worthwhile. When you subscribe, you get notified that we're live. That means you can kick us on and see what we're talking about and join us and ask your questions. Plus, it's a great way to make sure you stay on top of industry trends, because we're always trying to do that for you. Well, I think that's all I got for my script. Why don't we go ahead and tell you about our guest today? Our guest is, my script is totally, I've got my pages wrong. Danila Palmieri. Danila is with UnniCo. She is the co-founder and COO at UnniCo. So this is a rapid growth company. So there's an interesting thing about the way this description reads. So it reads as a rapid business growth company. It means that they help you grow your company faster, and they have resources and the intelligence to help you do that. Danila founded in 2013, she founded a group called Connect HR Strategy, which is now part of UnniCo. She has 21 years of experience on corporate projects. So she is a person that came out of the corporate world, and I really appreciate that after working for Marriott as many years as I did. She is also very good at helping people go from the US to other countries and expand. She has a great deal of experience in post-merger integration as well as back office operations. She has multiple degrees from colleges in Brazil, and when she comes on, I'm going to have her tell you how to pronounce those schools' names. I'm not even going to take a stab at it, but she has a degree in engineering, a postgrad in business administration, as well as an MBA in HR management from another college there in Brazil. She's a WTC Atlanta board member. She's a former chairman of the board for the Brazilian American Chamber of Commerce. And she also has experience in leadership with SHRM, which is, I think, an acronym for Society of Human Resource Management. We should probably have her confirm that when she comes on. All right, great. So remember, if you have a question, just send us punch it there into the comments field, and we will pose that to our guest. I think I have talked enough. Let's see if we can get Danila to come on board. Let's see where she is. There she is. Danila, welcome.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure being here, and thank you for SPIRE team for the day today. I'm looking forward to meet everybody in this afternoon as well.
You're going to really like this group. It's such a high quality group of people, and the SPIRE leadership team has done a good job of really branding that, as you know, and you're a branding expert too, of really branding the organization to attract the very best of business leaders here in Atlanta. So I got to go backwards. How do you pronounce your colleges? So you got your undergrad from what school?
It's we call FEI, Faculdade de Engenharia Industrial. That is an industrial engineer type of college. So we have all the engineer degrees over there.
I love that. All right. Now, folks, you can see why I asked her to pronounce that. I would have not done that as eloquently. And then you got your postgrad at what school?
FGV, that is Fundação Getúlio Vargas.
Oh, that sounds beautiful, by the way.
Yeah. It's my accent, you know.
I love it. And so the college, this is interesting. The college is spelled Fundacao, but there's that little thing under the C. What's that little symbol under the C called?
We call TIL.
That is, and then there's and it looks like a tilde above the A. Do you guys call that a tilde, like tilde. The Spanish? Okay, good.
Exactly.
And then you got your MBA in HR management and personal administration from the same college.
The same college.
So you stayed there and got your MBA.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Well, thank you for helping me with those pronunciations. You know, pronouncing people's names and companies are always very important. And if I can't do it right, I'll always ask them to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you have such an amazing amount of experience, especially coming out of the corporate world. I'd love to ask you a question about new entrepreneurs. So you probably meet entrepreneurs that come out of the corporate space and decide to start their own organization. What advice do you typically give those people when they're moving into entrepreneurship?
So, Mark, that's a great question. Is that what I've been learning this past 9 years that I become an entrepreneur, that I started in Brazil, and then when I moved here to Atlanta, I decided to go solo and keep my entrepreneurship dream, let's say this way. So first thing I tell my fellow entrepreneurs that comes from a corporate world is forget everything you learn in the corporate.
Forget it all.
Or forget it all.
Daunting. Yeah.
Open your mind in the sense that learn, right? Open to learn, be flexible. Because the first thing I felt when I leave the corporate world and start my entrepreneurship is that it's not forget, right? Everybody. Right. But it's be flexible that you're not going to do the same thing what you are doing in the corporate world in your new company. That's what I felt that I need to relearn everything, because in the corporations, you have everything done for you, right?
Yeah,
You go
absolutely.
there, strategy is done, sale is done, budget is done, right? And what are you gonna have to handle that? Like my last role in the corporate world was leadership development.
Mhm.
I was responsible for around 300 leaders in the company I used to work for in Brazil. And I know what I should do, right? Then when I start my business, it's like, oh my gosh, now I have to plan, how do I get clients? How do I promote myself? How do I brand my company? How do I do the process? How do I deliver and execute projects? How do
Yeah,
I
it's hard.
partner? So
Mhm.
then I felt that, oh my God, I used to do this in the corporation. It was so easy. What is not easy right now for me doing this to my company, right? And I
Yeah.
start, as you said, I start my own business when I moved here into the US in 2013. And
So
it
you
was,
started your business when you moved to the US.
yes,
Wow. So not only did you start your own company, but you moved to a new continent. Had you lived at in the US before then?
no, I just was here for business, for pleasure, right? In New York.
Wow. Wow, that's impressive. I'm just going
Yeah.
to tell you that's really impressive because not only did you have to learn a new culture, but you were starting a business.
Mhm.
That's hard. I can't imagine doing that.
Yeah, but what is, let's say, what was easier is that when I arrived here and I decided to found my company in the human resources, because
Right.
human resources was something that I learned that I loved when I had my first team in
Mhm.
Brazil. That's why I end up my corporate role in the leadership development, because really was something that I enjoy doing. I arrived here and I approached the Brazilian Chamber of Commerce, Lucia Jennings, that is the president, and I said, hey, I have this background, process driven. I want to do something, I want to learn what is do business here in the US. And then I start volunteering. I did some, actually, the Brazilian Chamber of Commerce was my first client. I'm so grateful and appreciate that they
Wow.
gave me this opportunity here
Yeah.
to help them organizing process, procedures, and then I end up volunteering with them all the way through 2020. That's my last roles was the chairman of the board, and I
Right.
had to step down because we founded UnniCo, and then I needed to put all my effort and attention to UnniCo that time. But we are always in touch, and the Brazilian Chamber of Commerce was really my school here in the US to learn how to do business here, and also related to my country, that was easier also to understand and translate. That's why
Sure.
my company was focused on support Brazilian entrepreneurs coming to the US,
Right.
and also translate to Americans, helping them how to do business in Brazil.
Yeah, I'm tell you what. First of all, you are very easy to understand, so you've done very good with learning our English. And maybe that was the way you learned English in Brazil, but you speak very great. Your English is fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
And so being able to blend the cultures, I'm sure was a challenge understanding how we do business here because I'm sure every business has different philosophies. And so
Mhm.
being able to blend that is important. But finding your people, so to speak, finding the Brazilian Chamber of Commerce to help you find people who were going to support you because they were also trying to figure out how to build alliances here in the US. I think that's
Mhm.
brilliant. I want to ask you, especially in light that you came from Brazil, you started your own company, you probably needed to raise money. How did you find the resources, and what do you suggest to new business entrepreneurs? What are you telling about raising capital to start their own organization?
Mhm. So raising money and fundraising was something that I've been learning the past 2 years. There is something that at the UnniCo, as a foundation, our main purpose, we are looking for the next unicorn. And that's why we build up a UnniCo in a sense that we can support this business as a catalyst, as you said, like speed up the process for business.
Right.
It starts from the funding and then to the operations, the marketing, import, export. So UnniCo was designed by purpose, and the mean that we would like to handle this to our clients in the sense that we learn this and we can speed up this for you so you don't need to waste time, right? That
That's
learning
good.
curve can be smaller. That's really where we founded the UnniCo for, right? But if you go for a fundraising and you're looking for money to your business, we have always 5 questions that we need to answer. That is, what do you do, right?
Yeah.
What is the problem you want to solve?
Good.
And then who are you? Who is your team? How much money do you need? And what, as an investor, I will have back, right? Like, is equity? What are you looking for as an angel investor? So that is the main thing. So sometimes our clients, when they come to us looking for money, we need to help them answer these questions. Looks like pretty simple. It's not, because entrepreneurs, and I put myself on that, I'm learning how to escape from that. We know what we are doing in the process, in the problem we want to solve, what we do, our knowledge, why we are developing that. But when we start talking about financials and return of investment and how much I gonna give you this money, but how much from your company you want to give to me, right?
Those are hard questions, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, they're hard.
And sometimes they say, oh, but I'm in the valuation, and so do you give me $2 million, but do you want 20% of my company? Oh, or 50% of my company? Oh, I don't know if I want another partner, right?
Right. Oh, that's really hard. It reminds me actually of Shark Tank. Watching Shark Tank actually gives me heartburn. To tell you, I watch people come on there and they sell half or 49% of their company for a couple of $100,000. I'm like, oh my goodness, that's crazy. It's a different it's all of it. It's a different animal though, because they're getting the support from somebody who has huge amount of resources and connections. But still, I could never walk in and imagine selling half of my company for a couple of $100,000.
But Mark, just one last point on that topic for your next question is this: on the fundraising, we help our clients to understand that, and also go through this process in a more low stress way, let's say, right? It's heartburn not to be that hard.
Right.
And go to this rolling coaster and try to prepare them to be ready, right, to the pitch decks and to be ready to each one of the investors. Because also another thing that we help our clients to understand is this: every investor is a different investor and they have a personality. So the pitch deck has to be aligned what that venture capital or angel investors or who is that investor in front of me. So we understand and we profile that investor so we can prepare our clients with their pitch in the pitch deck, align with what our investor want to hear, want to see, want to...
Oh, that's brilliant.
Want to ask.
Yeah.
So that's our approach.
Yeah, because they all have different personalities. And if you come in, because some people are going to be all details, give me details, dollars. Others are going to want to be more, I want to learn about you, the owner. How, I want to believe that you can drive it. I think that's really, that's brilliant. Raising money is always creates a lot of tension for owners, and to hear that you can help with that like you do, that's impressive. So one of your challenge, no, not your challenge, one of your talents that you offer is you help people take a company that's in the US and do business overseas. How do you do that? What are the tricks, and how do you stand apart from other organizations that help move to an overseas operation?
So we've been partner, right, with companies that has knowledge and footprint. Our focus today, it's US and Brazil mainly, but we also do business in Colombia. We also have business in India. We also have Canada here in US, and some of connections in Europe and China. But
Good.
Brazil, of course, is our home, as US is our home as well.
Right.
So we've been easier. And also for the past 10 years, Brazil, it's investing a lot and bringing a lot of business into the US, more than US going to Brazil. So our approach is really help them understand, if we are coming to US, and understand the culture, understand the market, understand how people do business here, from small things like, well, in Brazil, we spend a couple of minutes talking about the weather. We're talking about, your family, what do you do, soccer. Here, if you have 30 minutes, you have 30 minutes. So you have to learn to be objective, straight point, if you want to get that answer or do that business or start that relationship, right? The opposite is the same. For the ones that don't know Brazil, say, hey, relax. It's 30 minutes meeting, but can be an hour meeting. So be prepared for that, to not rush, because we like to have coffee. We like to know more about you. So we start this approach with the personal culture side, but also help them to translate. And that's why we have at the UnniCo a marketing piece, because the way I use the brand in Brazil might not be the same Americans you understand or learn or even pronounce your brand, right?
Right.
And also the story, or maybe how do you promote your brand in Brazil, might not be the same here. That's why we have the marketing piece in our business, to help these companies understand in a whole. And even big companies in Brazil, or even big companies here, they are well known in their country, but they are nobody, right? In the new market. So it's kind of, they needed to start all over again, right? And what we've been seeing the past years, is that a lot of companies trying to reach this market, but they fail. They invest a lot of money, but they fail because they don't pay attention in these details, right? And sometimes don't learn. They want to use the same mindset as they use in their country to do business here, and doesn't work, because you're not investing the right customer persona, or you're not talking the same language that impact the audience. So at the UnniCo, we designed this process when a company approaches to do business internationally, like, where you are in the process. Do you know the market? Do you know your customer persona? Do you know where you want to sell this, right? If they say, oh, I have everything, I said, okay, you're good to go. We can start your business development and your sales. But if you're not, let's come back, some steps back, and okay, let's plan accordingly. Let's understand. So when you come and you invest, your chance to succeed will be even higher than you try to do all by yourself. And something that the back office solution that we design, and that I love to do, is this, that I tell to entrepreneurs coming, or companies coming here to the US, is this: you don't need to invest all your money up front. We can be your back office, your sales, your human resources. We can handle your business development. We can handle your import and export.
Nice.
When you start selling in a point that you say, oh, now makes sense to me to have an operation or to have an office, we are more than happy to handle and to transition in this for you, for your client to start, so we can, they save money in a sense that, let's see if I succeed, if I'm doing right, a chance to, the learn curve, as I said, will be smaller and make a decision using better the investment. So that is the
terrific
approach we do.
That all of the things that you said, and I loved all that information because even just branding and how to communicate. So, for example, our brand is very blue. Blue is very corporate in the U.S. If we were to expand into Brazil, we may need to look at changing the colors of our brand because that's the Brazilian culture may want to see something different in that. And I would have no clue about that. And flip that, if somebody was coming to the US, you may say, okay, for your target audience, you should look at this in the US and be ready. Business people in the US may sit down with you and say, I got 15 minutes, talk fast. And don't be, whoa, that's a little off-putting. But if you just have to be ready for that.
Yeah.
I have time for one more question I want to throw at you. And I think this is really interesting because we talked about this before the show, that a lot of people come out of the corporate world and they're not really thinking about business development. They may not have experience with business development. What do you tell those people that come out of the corporate space about business development when they're going to be an entrepreneur?
Yeah. So first thing, don't be afraid. Don't be shy.
Uh-oh. That's a good one.
Right? Don't be afraid. Don't be shy. And be prepared to put yourself, on this. Also plan ahead. That is something,
Danila,
yes.
Why is it important to be ready for business development if you're an entrepreneur? Why is that such a key?
Because if you don't do business development, you don't have clients, you don't have business, right? You don't have your next client and your next project and your next
But let me ask you a question. I'm going to challenge you a little bit here. I've gone through we did the resources. I got lots of money and I hired a business development, i.e. a sales team. And that team is in place and they're killer. They're awesome. Do I still need to be involved in business development?
Yes. Yes, because as owner, for me, it's important in a sense to give them the direction, right? And what results you want and how to sell your product. As you grow, you don't need to be in that all the time doing. But you will need to strategize and give them the direction. And also as a new business, we have to reroute frequently, right? That's why the flexibility is important, because I tell my team every day that I feel like I am a slime that my daughter loves to play, that is really fluid, because I have to change.
Slime. Did you say slime?
Slime. That
she plays with that. I love that. Yeah. I didn't know that
was
still a thing.
Sometimes my carpet doesn't like much, but anyways.
Yes, I'm sure.
But you have to be flexible enough to say, hey, I thought that I was right yesterday. I'm wrong. And now I have to rethink and reroute. So that's why business development, and even though you have a team, you need to be there at least in the beginning when the thing is just moving by itself. To give them the direction and the flexibility to be able to change when it's needed.
So it is, business development is probably the most important thing an entrepreneur has to have their arms around in some fashion. And you can never step out of that space, because the motivation typically starts with the ownership. and the ownership is going to need to make sure they're constantly pointing their team. This is the direction that we need to go in. I tell you, the struggles that I have had as an entrepreneur is that I'm not specifically motivated by revenue. That's not my number one love, right? I don't, it's just how I'm wired for some reason. So I have to constantly push myself to focus on, we got to raise funds. We got to make money. We got to, I have to be that guy, right? That guy says, oh, we need more money here. When the Atlanta Journal-Constitution recently came out and said that that inflation in Atlanta is higher than any place else it is in the country, I had to be aware of that. Like, okay, if the inflation in Atlanta is up, then that means my costs are going up. I need to look at raising the charges that we have for our clients, because that's part of that process. Well, when I started the company, I wasn't thinking that way. Well, this is great. I love this conversation, Danila. I appreciate you being here. Our show's only 30 minutes long. I think we could probably go for another 30 minutes because you have so many interesting things to share. But we're going to have to cut it here. I do want you to share, where do you want people to go to find out more about you and your company?
Hey, people can find us in our website, and also myself in our LinkedIn page. The website is UnniCo.us, and you can find Danila Palmieri on LinkedIn. I'll be more than happy to connect. I love to meet people, so I'll be happy to see you guys there.
Outstanding. Well, it's great that you were here today. Thank you for joining us. For those of you who are interested in SPIRE, you can find out more information on SPIRE on their website, and that is spire-atl.com. So SPIRE, SPIRE-ATL.com. Or you can join their Facebook group. If you just go on to Facebook and look up SPIRE Atlanta, you'll be able to find them. Danila, thank you for being here. We appreciate you so much. I look forward to meeting you tonight and hearing what you have to share with the group, and look forward to future conversations. People in Brazil need to be on social media in the US, so it might be wise for me to go ahead and expand into Brazil faster than I was ever thinking about that. So I think I'll be calling you.
Yeah, please. Thank you, Mark. Right. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure being here.
Thank you. We'll
see you later.
For the rest of you folks, we're so glad you are here watching our show. How's Your ePresence is everywhere. You can find our show on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Twitter. We also drop all of our shows on as a podcast. But before I give you all that information, let me just share this with you. ePresence is a full service social media agency. What we do at ePresence is we help companies optimize, or activate, if you will, their social media, make sure it's reaching the target audience that they want to reach, and complement that with the individual profiles of the executive team. We do that through LinkedIn. The executive team needs to make sure that they're activated on social media as well. We have consulting, we have training, we have lots of great things that we can do. As a viewer of the show, even as a SPIRE member, just by watching this show, you can get a 5% discount on our services. So if you hit that link right there, e-pr.me/listener, you go there, you will get access to our 5% discount for all of our listeners. Where can you find us on How's Your ePresence? So a couple of places. Find us on all of our social media handles. You can also find us on our website. Really, I'd recommend going to our website to find anything about the podcast or the streams. And the link for that is ePresence.me is our website. So if you go there, you can find a link to the podcast page, and it's also a link gets you to all the places that we broadcast our shows. We're constantly dropping content every week on the podcast, so you want to subscribe there also. That way you get to hear all the new stuff that we're doing on our stream. So yes, we have the stream show, but we also drop everything as a podcast. Remember our website for anything that you would like, resources. Check out our blog page. We're constantly dropping great content on our blog to help you with all of your digital marketing needs. This show is produced by ePresence, and our producer, writer, and social media extraordinaire is Morgan Wood. Morgan, thank you so much for the work you do for us. Until next time, for my guest, Danila Palmieri, I am Mark Galvin, and we appreciate you watching How's Your ePresence?